Time for the Small Business Rally Point on March 20th. It's a little bit after 3 o'clock. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach, and joining me today, Jennifer Buchholz, who's our executive producer from Excel and Flourish. And on the broadcast today, we're going to recap the longest week of our life. It is Friday, and we made it through the end of 1 week of being socially distanced, and for many of us working at home, and for many of us as small business owners, trying not to freak out. I think that's a very generous way to say it. But through our conversations this week and talking to as many people as I can, I've sensed a lot of resiliency, which is fantastic. And the point of our show here today is to make sure that we are all looking at it from that perspective, that we're doing what we can to take care of our business, to move ourselves forward, stay connected with one another, and grow when all this is over. On today's broadcast, we've got a couple of different things. We're going to hear from Erik Bilstad, who's the executive producer of news for WTMJ Radio. We're also going to hear from Carol White, who's the leader of the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce. And we're going to get inside of your head and talk with Ariel Kopac from Harness Your Hindrance. She is, she's a head doctor. Not a doctor, but she has that way about her to help us think about how we're thinking about all of this, because our lives have been disrupted and we're all trying to adjust to a new normal, and Ariel is fantastic at doing just that. So thank you to WTMJ, and thank you to the Brookfield Chamber and to Jennifer Buchholz for being a part of this. But first, the news. It was rave reviews from everyone when we talked with Erik Bilstad on Wednesday on our first broadcast. So we wanted to bring Erik back on. So Erik, can you do the same thing for us that you did the other day? Catch us up on what's been going on in the last few hours or last day or so that might be affecting small business.
All right. Well, we'll start with some of the news of the afternoon. Governor Evers held another conference call today, and they've been doing this every day if they can. Someone from the state, generally the governor or someone like that, with some new numbers, and they kind of go through that. Today, we have now 3 deaths in Wisconsin related to COVID-19, and the governor now asking everyone to stay home. He hasn't ordered a shelter in place or anything like that, but he's asking anyone who is not an essential worker to be at home, which of course is going to affect a lot of people who are trying to sell a thing or two. As of now, we have 206 cases confirmed across the state. Those 3 deaths were all men. One man in his 60s from Milwaukee, another man in his 50s from Fond du Lac County, and then a third man in his 90s from Ozaukee County. We've heard that a UW health worker has tested positive, so now hospitals are being urged to monitor all workers if they can do so, and they have been doing that. And Evers, again, asking everyone to stay home if they can. Other smaller aspects of that, WTMJ, which is the state's business group, they are now trying to put together a guide for small businesses. And some of you may have seen this already. It's called Navigating Through COVID-19 in Wisconsin. And it's a guide for businesses and community organizations that can then serve to them. So this is from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation website. And if you Google search WEDC, you'll get to that page right away. And you'll be able to see if this is something that can help you. The guide contains, according to their release, a variety of strategies to help small businesses be more resilient amid the extreme challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's designed for community organizations to be able to help as well. So that's something that they now have on their site that hopefully is something that you might find useful. A Trump administration today, again, pushing the income tax filing deadline now. It's official. They're going to push it to July 15th from April 15th. All taxpayers and businesses will have this additional time to file, make payments without interest or penalties. But the bigger issue right now is, what do you do? And in some cases, we've seen some pretty creative things from some of these small businesses. Channel 58 had a great story about Don's Diner and Cocktails, which is a diner and cocktails place in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And, they've turned that into a grocery store now. They basically put up the seats and put down shelves and now are selling things so they can actually still make some business, but they're not selling cocktails like you would normally see or having in-house dining. Mr. Holland's Heating and Cooling, Furnace Place, they're trying to push to that. So those folks who are stuck in some of these homes or self-quarantining, self-isolating, whatever they're doing, they're offering chances to have phone interaction with them or something on FaceTime so they can troubleshoot if you're having an issue with your furnace, that type of thing. We Energies is extending their moratorium on those who cannot pay their electrical bills at this moment. So usually that ends here in March when things start to warm up, but they're going to extend that. So if someone cannot pay their electrical bill, they can still get heat at a time, it gets a little bit more unique. One of the other big ones, Door County, all the agencies in Door County that deal with tourism now asking everyone to leave them alone. We don't want you. We don't want you up in Door County, is essentially what they said for 3 days. And that is a remarkable thing to hear from a bunch of tourist groups in Door County. So far, they've had very little. In fact, I don't think they've had any cases up there. But they say, check back in 30 days. We can't have you up in Door County right now.
Well, a lot. Thank you for downloading as much as you did, Erik. I want to follow up with a couple of questions.
Sure.
One of the very first things you said is that it's recommended that we shelter in place, but Governor Evers hasn't made an order on that. Do you anticipate that coming? Is there a rumor or hint that that's going to be the case?
Well, I would say that if you look at the numbers, then yes, I would anticipate it. In fact, right now, it probably was just announced. We knew it was coming. In Illinois, the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, he was going to announce that Illinois was going to be sheltering in place. So it's right next to us now. So we have New York, which they announced earlier today, something fairly similar to that. California did the whole state late yesterday, I believe it was, into this morning, and now Illinois. So it wouldn't surprise me if that would come our way as well, just given the circumstances of the situation. There are, I believe, a dozen, unless the numbers change, and they always seem to be, there are a dozen states across the union that have at least one death of COVID-19. Wisconsin is among those dozen.
Mm-hmm. Follow up on the Trump administration. We're all kind of waiting for the bill to pass as far as immediate relief for families and some more clarity on small businesses. What's going on with that, and where is it?
Still going through a couple of things. They have several bills that they're trying to do. The Senate did pass one yesterday. There's 3, I believe, big ones. And the issue they're having is trying to figure out how, some of these small businesses would actually be able to pay employees who are no longer able to work. President Trump said today during his news conference that he is very confident that everything will go through. The paychecks, where we'll send them to you, that, where Uncle Sam is going to send us some money. That is expected in the next 2 weeks. That will likely happen. I mean, I don't think it's pen to paper yet, but it will happen. Looking at a couple of $1,000s for a family of 4, and a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the size of the family.
One last question, talking about the shutdown of shelter in place. You're anticipating that it's coming, but from the rumors you're hearing, any rumors about when or what might happen as far as a couple of days or a week from now? I mean, what are you hearing?
Well, I guess it would depend on what happens through the weekend. For something like this, generally, unless something really spikes tomorrow, that order likely wouldn't come until Monday when everyone is at, back to work, quote unquote. That would be likely when you would hear the governor make another announcement like that. So far, he has not used those terms. Doesn't mean it won't happen over the weekend, but I would anticipate Monday if you just kind of read the way the media kind of works, and that way you get the most ears on it. One thing to point out, and I find this very interesting, is that we have a primary on April 7th. So that's coming up. So basically you have a governor and you have many health officials, clearly, and obviously we understand why, telling everyone to hunker down. If you can, stay home, don't work unless you're essential. However, they're also saying, yeah, we really don't want to delay that election. So we still have that election out there on April 7th. That could be just a matter of days before that gets delayed as well. But you have so many different things at play right now, and you also don't want to scare people. So can you see a stemming of the tide, if you will, of the numbers of the COVID diagnosed positive numbers? And if you do, perhaps then you don't have to make that announcement of sheltering in place and scaring some people. And that's, by the way, that's becoming more real now, where we're hearing about some folks, especially some folks that are, elderly folks, 60, 70 plus, that are really, there are some people that are very spooked now, and you're seeing it. We're hearing reports of that at grocery stores where some are just afraid about being too close to others. We've seen some where it's getting a little bit hostile in some areas, and there's some, not swinging or anything like that, but there is a bigger fear that is starting to grow, unfortunately, that is starting to happen amongst many people who are going out even just to get some groceries.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone that's putting comments and questions inside the chat for Erik. It's something we encourage while we're interviewing folks. One thing that Erik touched on are some of the creative ideas that businesses have used to pivot to what they're selling so they can continue to make some money. That's part of the broadcast that we're going to do as well. We call it Idea Slam. So if there's something that you could use help with, you need a creative idea to engage your customers or come up with a new way to make some money, we'll do some of that towards the back end of the phone call. Mark Shannon points out one thing that I've actually done. You can vote with an absentee ballot using the link that Mark put inside the chat. It took me less than 3 minutes to take a picture of my driver's license, did it right on my mobile phone. It was very easy to accomplish, and I expect my absentee ballot to be in the mail any minute here. So with that, Erik, you've got the news to cover, so I don't want to keep you any longer, but it's always a pleasure to have you with us to recap what's happening in the news, and hopefully you can come back on sometime.
Absolutely. Be well, everybody.
Thank you, Erik. We appreciate it. Erik Bilstad, the executive producer of news for 620 WTMJ. A big thank you to him and that organization for supporting us. We're going to get to the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce in just a minute and hear from Carol White. She has been really trying to keep her organization close to her membership. So we'll check in with her in just a couple of minutes. But I want to talk with Ariel Kopac today because Ariel has a wonderful way to get inside our head. She will listen to what you're saying and share it back to you with some perspective that you don't normally get. So Ariel, thank you for coming on the show. Let's start with just saying our world is upside down. Everything is different. How are you recommending that people just absorb everything that's coming at them right now from a small business owner's perspective?
Ironically, I would say to try to not absorb it all, meaning stay centered and anchor into what you need to be focused on.
So what do you mean by
that?
anchor
I mean,
in? Yeah.
Yes. So what I mean by anchor in is, this is something I talk about with regards to anxiety, regardless of what's going on outside or externally. Oftentimes people are experiencing anxiety due to changing circumstances externally, and now we're just all experiencing it together. And when that happens, the most important thing to do is, instead of getting caught up in the chaos of the storm and getting pulled by everyone and everything, all the different anxious energies, anchoring into what keeps you centered. And for some people that may be, I have the health of myself and my family, and that, as long as I have that, I'm going to be okay. Or it may be, I know that if something goes wrong, I have somewhere to go where I can be safe and have my needs taken care of. As long as I know that, I know it's going to be okay. So anchoring into whatever it is for you that lets you know that it's going to be okay, and you're starting from that foundation and then dealing with whatever is coming at you versus trying to absorb everything that's coming at you and deal with it all then.
So we've had some questions the last few days about topics that I'm sure you'll be able to handle. And if you have questions inside the chat, please jump in and share them. But once we identify our anchor, we still need money. We still need to keep our businesses open. And for many of us, no one wants to do business with us anymore because they're freaking out as well. So what would you tell someone that has clients that are canceling or rescheduling, and it just seems like no one wants to talk to us at the moment?
The point of leadership comes into play here. And I'm not speaking from a place of it's all going to be okay and you don't need to worry about it, or high optimism, blind optimism. I'm not speaking from that standpoint. Monday morning, I had a client call who started off with, so you value transparency. I'm going to be transparent. I think we should halt. Just came off the gate with that in a coaching call. Okay. And I had, in that moment, decide, okay, I'm going to be here for my client right now. I'm not going to lean into his fear and let that target my fear. I'm going to be fully present for him and think, how can I add value to this person? How can I be at a place of peace and strength so that I can bring him into a place of peace and strength instead of feeding into the fear that he's in right now? Thankfully, we then rescheduled our call for today. And at the end of the call, he didn't even bring up canceling. There was no question of it. It worked out great. But that was because if I lean into that fear, he would have taken me there instead of me staying strong and saying, this is where we need to be. And it didn't mean I wasn't willing to have that conversation of if we actually needed to halt, what that would look like. But it was about me taking leadership from a place of certainty and strength versus feeding into the fear. So from that standpoint, I think the best thing that you can do for your clients and prospective clients is come from a place of certainty and strength and service. That's ultimately the best thing you can do right now. And you're going to have people who cancel. You're going to have people who are in a constant state of fear. You can't necessarily control that. You can only control if you're in a place of strength, and they will read that and respond to it. Basically, it's if you feed into the fear, then you lose them all. If you come from a place of strength and certainty, some people are going to gravitate to you for that alone.
I think we've all personally experienced a big change in how we feel from maybe last Friday to today, ups and downs, and some people are better and some people are worse. I've heard some people asking themselves, how do I survive a recession? How do I recession-proof my business? And what would you say if someone asked you that?
If someone asked me that, I'd say, well, I'm really glad we're finally talking about that, because it's so much easier to not address that question in the day-to-day. I think this is really, I wish there was a simple answer for that, but really it's a time of actually digging into, okay, how do I make my business recession-proof, or how do I have a recession-proof part of my business? Perhaps the original setup of your business wasn't set up for recession, but to have, we talk about, I coach a lot of financial advisors, and we talk about, diversifying in financial advising. And this is building awareness for business owners that we have to diversify our businesses, having an aspect that when a time of market growth and having a time when we're in recession. Diversifying your business will allow for you to succeed in both, but oftentimes we focus on one or the other.
So if you were talking with one of your coaching clients today, or just talking to other business owners and just being there for them, what are some of the other warning signs or phrases or things you might hear someone saying that you as a coach that talks about mindset would say, that you don't mean that, you don't mean that, you mean this? Like, what are some of the things that you're listening for as you listen to this call, or one of your clients might be talking to you?
Terms like I can't, or I need to, or I must. Those are keywords of entrapment in our own minds. So, for example, one of my calls today, my client was saying, this is a bad time to call new people. This is a bad time to prospect. And this is the worst time to get new meetings on the calendar. And we literally went through just an exercise of how is it the most opportune time to call new people? How is the most opportune time to get meetings on the calendar? And how is it the absolute most opportune time ever in your business to get new prospects? And we literally went through all those questions, and I just kept asking it over and over and over again. And we came up with 5 to 7 reasons per question as far as how this is the most opportune time ever in his business. So shifting your mind from there's no way I can, or I'm trapped here, to the exact opposite. And you actually have to intentionally put yourself in that state of mind. So I'll walk my clients through and say, we're going into a hypothetical, opportunistic, almost unrealistic situation, right? Bringing yourself mentally to that extreme so that there's no fear, there's no limitation. No does not exist in this state of mind. What's possible? And then we actually go to that state of mind, you discover actually a lot of those things are true and they are possible, and that is real. And this could be the time when I could be of highest service to my clients. This may be when they need me the most, and this may be when I can provide something that otherwise they wouldn't have even realized they needed.
So I've got one more question I want to ask Ariel. If you have a question, please put it inside the chat. And what you just addressed is something that we've talked about on this call in previous days, that feeling that, oh, I can't prospect now because of the thing, and I don't want to be a profiteer, and I can't sell my business. What if it's not appropriate? So thank you for addressing that head on, because that's something that we've all been talking about. Give us a piece of homework, if you would. So it's Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. We are all exhausted, fried. It's been emotional. We've got a couple of days to get ourselves ready to go back after it on Monday. What would you tell us if we were one of your clients, besides identifying our anchor, which is a great piece of advice? Is there anything else that we should do as maybe a mental reset or a best practice that you would recommend?
I would say any way in which you are feeling trapped, either from a negative mindset standpoint or from a limitation like that of I can't prospect or I can't get anyone on the phone, doing that exercise and doing the exact opposite of saying, how is it true? That's taking the opposite. How is it true that this is the most opportunistic time ever for my business? How is it true that this is the time where I can build a platform that is stronger than any other platform I would have otherwise been driven to create? How is it true that this is the start of my ultimate success? And then writing out how that's true, and sit with that question over and over again, because oftentimes we want to go with the first quick answer and move on. Sit with that question, ask it 10 times until answers start to reveal themselves to you, and do it in a place of silence where you can really let your creative mind open up.
So a quiet place. How is it true that this is the best time for my business? Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not a fun or easy thing to do at first, which is why you have to ask yourself that question 10 times to get yourself in that mental state.
well, it sounds like the stuff you talk about isn't easy at all. So that's why you're wonderful. Do us a favor and put your mailing address in the chat, because I think we all owe you some money. So we'll just ship you a check and say thank you. But how is it true? That's gold. And really, thank you for joining us today, because it's sorely needed, and hopefully you'll participate in another one of these calls, because how is it true that what you have to offer right now is magic? Believe me, you just did it. So thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Let's move on real quick, and let's talk with Carol White. Carol White is our fearless leader for the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce. And Carol, it's been an amazing couple of days for someone that runs an in-person networking organization. How are you doing?
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
It's, and you know this, our organization is so relationship driven, and it is so in-person driven. And we've been doing a lot of phone calls and reaching out to our members in the business community, just letting them know we're here. And if you need something, let us know. And that's what we're doing right now. We are working, as you are aware, of an online platform that hopefully on Wednesday we're going to be able to do our normal business connections, but it'll be online. And as you said, it's though distant, stay close. So that's what we're working to do.
In a few moments, we're going to do the idea slam portion. So think about how this group can support your organization to come up with an idea to make some money or solve a problem. But Carol, your phone, has it been ringing? And I don't want to know who's been calling, but what are some of the outreaches you've had this week? Because I would imagine people are turning to you and your team as a resource.
They are, and one of the things I think that we got a little bit ahead of, and I want to go back to actually something that Erik had said, is we have been trying to keep our members up to speed with everything that I know. So I'm on probably 2 to 3 conference calls, webinars a day between the state chamber, state capitol, and the U.S. chamber. And there's actually a phone call today at 2:45 Eastern that Trump is doing with the business community. So there's a number of things that I'm finding out that we're then sending out alerts to our members on. And again, to one of the points that Erik had said, I made a note because I didn't want to forget to mention this, is that the U.S. chamber has a toolkit as well for small businesses. And that's some of the information we sent out to our members this morning, but it's also available to anybody on our website. So, so yes, the phone is ringing, but more, I think we're doing the outreach of we're calling the businesses and saying, we're here, what can we do, how can we help you? And I have to say, they're blown away that we're picking up the phone and just calling and saying, hi, what can we do?
So tell us more about what you're spinning up for Wednesday. It's going to work great. We're going to be positive, or Ariel might pop back on and tell us that we're being negative. So on Wednesday, it's going to be great. Tell us about what this product is going to be and how you're going to connect people.
So for those that are part of the Brookfield Chamber, you know that we do a business connections program every other Wednesday morning. And as Pat had said, we are very much a face-to-face organization. So it's everybody has an opportunity to do their 30-second commercial on their product or service. And so we're going to look at doing that, whether it's via Zoom, Teams, or I have another platform that I'm looking at as well. So if you're interested in being part of a beta group on Monday at 9:30, let me know, because we're going to do a practice rundown with that on Monday at 9:30.
All right, would you drop inside the group chat your email so people can get on that list? Would you mind doing that, Carol?
More than happy to do that.
Okay, great. Is there anything else about the Chamber that you want to add? Because your organization is amazing and really a big part of a lot of our businesses. And I'll echo what Abby said. We miss you and the team. Is there anything else we can do to support you?
You know, you've done so much already, Pat, and it's just the piece that's challenging is we are so face-to-face. And again, we can still be connected even if we can't be face-to-face. So
Yep.
we're going to make that happen. And I'm thinking we're probably going to try and make those Wednesday programs weekly for right now. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Thank you, Carol, for everything that you've done and for mailing out to the organization so everyone knew that we were getting together. That was helpful. All right, so we're going to move over to the Idea Slam portion of the call here in a minute. So if there's something that you would like to get some help on, there's something in your business that you need to spin up, it's maybe a pivot or a change in what you're offering, please jump in and say something in the chat so Jennifer can let us know who we're going to talk about. But it is Friday afternoon. Unmute. Does anybody else have a beverage, or is it just me that's enjoying our?
I am just in time. I was worried I missed it. Hold on.
Yeah, what do you got there? Come on, let's do a show your beverage while we figure out who's going to do the Idea Slam.
Allow me to pour my scotch here.
All right, unmute your mic if you've got your White Claw out or anything like that.
Great law.
Ain't no law. That's right.
Cheers.
There we go. Oh my God, Big Mike, that's amazing.
Some of us are fucking responsible. Oh, I can't swear on this, can I?
You can't swear on this. We've covered this one.
Don't we have a 5-second delay?
Hold on, I'm gonna mute and show, and I'm just go back to work.
Oh, very good.
Quarantine and chill.
Yeah.
There it is. Is that the new Netflix? I love that.
Yeah, quarantine and chill. I put that on about a week ago, and now they got T-shirts. I'm just saying, if you need ideas, this guy, he's got them.
You
You're
were
the
there
guy.
first, man.
I was there first. I mean, I haven't quarantined and chilled, but the idea was there. I'll go back to being muted.
Oh yeah. Mute, Andy. I wish that was in real life, that I could just mute you like that. I'm muting you.
Hey, can we have like a 4 o'clock call that's not recorded? Like, we should have a 5 o'clock social where I can say and do whatever I want. Because twice now I've been cut off within the first 5 seconds. So I'm gonna go back to mute. I'm listening though. I'm paying attention.
Let's do this. Wines, you can host the after hours. Okay, we'll do the call, and then you get to be the host of the after, like the happy hour that happens afterwards. Is that fair?
Done. I'll also report on sports. There's nothing to report. Let's go back to drinking.
As long as he's buying around, he can host if he's buying.
There you go. Oh yeah, you can do whatever you want if you're a host. Yeah, I think you're on it.
All right, Michael, what are you drinking there? Did you pour your thing?
Yeah, let's see. Today we are enjoying a Glenmorangie Scotch. This is the sherry cask finish.
Oh, of course.
My brother-in-law knows me well. Every Christmas he gets me a sampler of something lovely. I'm a little bit left on this one, but I got a couple more in the sampler of the Glen Scotch here. So I'm not complaining. He's a very, very kind brother-in-law.
Oh, that's great. Well, cheers to you, and cheers to everybody else that's enjoying a beverage this afternoon.
Salute.
All right. So we need someone to raise their hand inside the chat if they want to be a part of the Idea Slam portion. But just like we did yesterday, let's start by sharing some innovative things that we've seen. Has anyone seen a creative idea? Erik shared a few, which I thought were really great. Or is there anything that you've done that's connected with people that maybe surprised you or ended up being a thing that's actually working for you at the moment?
I've got something.
Yeah, what do you got, Big Mike?
One of my clients I spoke with today, who's a restaurant owner, what he did is, they're obviously they're not open or anything, but they're just doing takeout orders. He had a real kind of come to Jesus, sit down with his staff, and he said, look, I'm not trying to make any kind of profit at this point. I just want to cover what it costs to run this place. And he kind of opened his books and showed them, look, today for this place to be open, we need to make this much. And so we're going to, sell all kinds of food. We're going to do carry out. And when we make that number, everything above and beyond that, with all of you employees, we're going to split that. You guys can I'll pay you in cash, and you can all take that home.
Wow.
As kind of a profit sharing, he called it. But it's all just, unofficial. But he said it's just a way to keep everyone involved and motivated, and he said it worked amazingly. They hit their number and they exceeded it, and he was able to give them all some money, and they went home with smiles on their faces, ready to come back tomorrow.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's a great story.
Amazing what happens when you bring your employees in on what's on the business side of things. And once I feel like some owners don't trust their team to share the books, but when you do and they get it, you get a totally different level of discretionary engagement.
Rachel, can you comment on the quarantine kits that you've seen?
I've seen a couple of them. Cranky Al's is putting together a donut quarantine kit where you can decorate your own donuts, which is really cool. And I think Jennifer posted another one that I saw a printer do where she'll send out like giant puzzles and things for your kids to do. So thinking outside the box, if you have a physical product, how can you get that into your customers' homes?
That's awesome. Stacy, what do you have? What's the bingo card going on in Menominee Falls? I've not seen that. Can you share that?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I just saw this posted on Facebook last night that the Chamber for Menominee Falls put together a bingo card, and it lists out all of the specials that are happening within the people that are members of the chamber. So if you're a restaurant and you're offering a special, it's posted on there. And then when you fill up your card, you can bring it or send it into the chamber and be in a drawing for different gift cards and prizes.
Wow, that's really cool. Carol White, are you getting that? Are you frantically typing, please? That's
I can. If you can't find it, Carol, let me know, and I can send you a picture of it. But I would think it's pretty easy to find.
What's the phrase? Talent borrows and genius steals. Is that the phrase? That's awesome. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. All right, so let's start the idea slam because we've got someone that wants in. So Sue Gresham, I hear, I've got it on speaker view, by the way. I'm not seeing the massive Brady Bunch view. So if you don't put something in the chat, I can't see that you're waving your hand or whatever. But Sue supposedly is. So Sue, welcome. What can we do for you?
Hi, I just wanted to add to that. One of our Brookfield Chamber members, Uptown Art, she was on the news this morning, and she has put together kits for families, art kits that they can order from her, and they can call ahead, order them, and then and she'll deliver them to the cars. So it's kits for the kids that are home being homeschooled.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you for sharing. Lori, you've got something too, something about a cleaning service. What do you got? Lori's not there. Okay, Sarah Bauer, Lori, are you there?
I'm here. Look, okay, I'm here.
Oh, hey, hi, surprise.
Sorry, technology. No, a friend of mine who actually owns a cleaning service shared that one of his friendly competitors quickly shifted to being a home grocery delivery service. So I thought that was a smart move.
Yeah, that is smart. Stacy shared after she was off that they're doing daily home workouts accessible to active members. Badger CrossFit's doing that too. Spenga's doing that too. And I'm curious, Stacy, how is your engagement so far on that? Are your members consuming them, or are they sitting on their couch?
No, we've had a really great response. I've done the workouts myself, and they're really good, actually. So we've been fortunate where we've been able to keep the gym open at this point because of how it's structured and the amount of people in there, and nobody's within distance of each other. So we've actually had a lot of new members recently who will then transition into the home workouts if it's required for us to shut down at any point.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good for you. We're going to get to some creative stuff here in a minute if you need some help. I'm starting to get the shakes. I'm getting excited. I want to come up with an idea or two, but we've got a couple more that I want to make sure get into the recording because the recording doesn't capture the chat. That's why I'm having people come on and share what they're typing to make sure we get it in. Sarah, you had like 19 different ideas, Sarah Bauer. What have you seen?
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So a couple ideas that my clients have been coming up with. So one of them is Soren's Ford in Brookfield. I believe they are a chamber member, are now offering test driving from home. So if you don't feel like bringing your family into the dealership, you can call them up. They'll bring the cars to you, which I think is kind of convenient and awesome. Also, if you have to have car work done, they will do the same thing. They will come pick your car up, go work on the car, and come back, and they can take payments in the field. Bullwinkle's in Brookfield as well. They just built a drive-through carryout. They actually are doing construction on their building right now, which is fantastic. Scout and Molly's is also another Brookfield Chamber member. They transitioned everything online within 24 hours. They've been doing Facebook Live. That is a female-owned local business because they're part of the Corners of Brookfield. The Corners have mandated that they close for 2 weeks minimum. So supporting local, supporting a Brookfield Chamber member. Sobelman's is doing carry-out Bloody Marys. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe Wisconsin has temporarily lifted the carry-out liquor law.
Whoa.
I know Minnesota was working. Yep. Yeah, right. So fun fact on this, you guys, for 3 years, I sit on a board for the Wisconsin Restaurant Association. We've been trying to get approval for restaurants to actually do alcohol delivery and carry out alcohol delivery because it's such a high profit margin for restaurants. And so I'm thinking of all the things that are going to change because of this. I really think this is it. Like, this actually pushed it through. So you are able to do carry out in certain capacity. I mean, I'm not even going to all the rules and regulations. So there you go, Andy, carry out beverages. There you go. It's amazing. So you can go do carry out. I am just floored by the creativity of people, of how they're creating social distancing and still serving their customers. A lot of places are saying, hey, if you have to sign your receipt, keep the pen. Hey, it's got my business on it. A lot of printers are printing carry-out signage. So if you know of anyone who does printing and graphics and their business is slow, please encourage them to do carry-out only, drive-through only signage for restaurants. Restaurants are turning into corner stores. I know that was mentioned earlier. A lot of them are. So you can come, with meal kits that was obviously spoken about earlier this week. And the craziest thing I've seen this week, walked into a liquor store, a whole aisle of toilet paper. It was awesome. It was just awesome. I wish I would have taken a photo of it, to be honest with you. So those are some things that I've heard from clients and out in the field, and I need to start journaling this.
Those are a lot of great things that you shared. Thank you very much. But before we turn to someone else, I do have to say, with those headphones that you have on and that white shirt, you have a very strong Princess Leia thing going on. When you look like right into the thing, yeah, just like that. No, yeah, there you go, like that. That's right. We can all use the force.
I will come with fun hair next time. I will come with fun hair next time. Promise. Actually, I was supposed to be at Churchill Downs last week for a conference, so I actually have an amazing hat that I'd be more than happy to wear in the next one of these.
All right. So now we've decided that on every one of our small business rally points moving forward, that you have to show up in costume, which is fantastic. So someone's got to do it. Mike's got a dog. You're showing up in costume. There's the trucker hat. This is going downhill fast. This is fantastic. All right, Andy Wines, you had something that you wanted to share a minute ago. You still have something to add? Andy, are you there? Okay, Andy's not.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah. What do you got?
I just turned off my Wi-Fi because it wasn't working right. So LZ, otherwise known as Enterprise Now Podcast, has a podcast he normally does live, but next week, because we can't all get together, he is going to be doing it in a similar room like this, and he's not limited to just 30 people because we can get as many people as we can with a Zoom premium account. So my guy LZ, shameless plug, is moving his in-person podcast to a site like this on the 25th, Wednesday. You'll be there. And guess who the featured guest is. I'll let you put a couple guesses as the featured guests.
Are you plugging yourself, dude? Seriously?
I saw LZ was in the chat. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. I don't get anything out of it. I'm going to plug LZ.
That's good. That's good.
There you go. But in all honesty, I had a great call with Launch. Brookfield, they've been working for the last 2 years trying to take their program online and digital, kind of what Sarah was just saying, and even what Ariel was saying. Look at this as an opportunity to revamp what you're already currently doing and push through those ideas you had before about online, because Launch out of Brookfield is doing that. It's taken him 2 years now. He's like, well, this is the final thing where we can finally get through those barriers. So again, I can't stress enough, like, move your business online more than you can ever before.
Okay.
Everyone just said there's another business in Brookfield. So schools, like, are there services that we as business individuals can offer schools because they're also out of work? And so maybe there's coaching and mentoring we can do with schools, and there's revenue generation and creation there, because that's one of the things I'm looking at is advising them to create more revenue by helping them with video content stuff. So target schools, because schools are looking for content.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Andy, thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about how we pivot. Is there anyone on the call that has a skill that needs customers and maybe needs an idea on how to pivot from what they're doing to something else? I mean, if a liquor store can become a grocery store, and if some of these other amazing pivots that we've heard can happen, we would love to contribute as a group to that. One other thing, as we delay just for a minute to see if anyone wants to jump on and talk, don't forget to text BIZ to the number 414-240-1315, because I'm using that text distribution as my way to reach out to everyone and say, hey, we're going to go live at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's good. And by the way, should we do this, maybe not a full-blown interview, formal kind of rally point, but should we get together on Saturday or Sunday, or should we just take the weekend off? Think about that as we get close to wrapping up here. So yeah, if no one needs any help at this point, that's great. It sounds like we've all found our feet. As the host, I would say it's kind of interesting, because if you think where we were on Wednesday, the first one that we did, we all kind of stared at each other and we're like, what the hell is going on, right? And I think a lot of us, to Ariel's point, have kind of found our footing, found our anchor. The initial panic is over, and it's time to adjust and make ourselves some money moving forward. Let's see, we have Jennifer Rundell has something that she wants to add. Jennifer, what's going on, dear? How can we help you?
Hello, everybody. It's great to see your smiling faces. What a great start to the weekend. I am trying to figure out how to take my business, which is mostly face-to-face, in person, moving things around in people's spaces, whether it's their home or their office, to an online business. And I know there are e-design courses and things, but I'm just trying to think of something creative or outside of the box, again, without capitalizing on the fact that people are working from home. I would love to be able to help people set up their home office virtually. Anybody have thoughts?
I have thoughts. Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead.
All right, no, it's pretty like, so right as you posted that question, I gave you in the chat the two things. First off, you can FaceTime with them,
yep,
right, and do virtual, so have them move things around. The other thing is what you can do for them is, as they're in the space, you can design out the room. You can buy stuff from Wayfair and Target and all those other stuff and drop ship it right to their address. So basically doing the design shopping for them, which is another source of revenue. Or you can go out and physically shop the things for them while, right, while they're at home. And you can be, hey, what about this thing from Target, right? And then you can put it in a nice bag and put it on their step and walk out. So I think those two things, you can still communicate with them without being in their space and do the shopping for them online or otherwise.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be a heck of a service, Jennifer, if you could just have the furniture shipped right to their house.
Yep.
You don't even have to deliver it, which would be kind of nice.
Right.
Any other thoughts for Jennifer and her staging business at this time?
Yeah, this is Earl Smith. One of the things you can do, Jennifer, is you can conduct lunch and learns on different design concepts for small businesses or for your clients, not as a selling tool, but as an education tool.
Yep. Yep. Love it.
Great.
Thanks, Earl. Love it.
I also wouldn't mind, like, if I had you, like, just looking like, hey, I have to get my home office set up, and sort of like what Brothers Painting is doing with the wall contest.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what if I'm like, oh, Jennifer, you could help me with this, and literally I walk you around my house, and you're like, oh, what if you took this one thing from that table? You know those design shows where they like reuse the stuff in your house?
Yep.
And just put it in here because perhaps that would make a good visual.
Sure.
And it wouldn't necessarily cost me anything. Maybe that's still something that you're selling, though, is like yeah, there's no cost because I'm not going to make you buy new stuff, or maybe that is minimal, but we're just going to pay you for that service. And it's an easy service to just be like that first step of, oh my gosh, this is a tough time and I'm nervous. I'm willing to pay you X amount for that service, but you didn't make me buy anything new. Next time you're building a loyalty with that too.
Yep. Great. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, Jennifer, you've been in our house. If you saw how my home office is set up right now, it's an absolute mess. It's taken over our entire dining room. There are people like me and others. I mean, many of us didn't have a home office. Like, where all of our stuff is just laying around. And I'll tell you right now, I'm already sick of sitting at the kitchen table all week. So I'm sure there's a lot of folks that would rather be in a more comfortable, ergonomic, beautiful, inspirational kind of setting. And would love to have that service as well. And Ariel was in the chat. So yes, Abs, go.
I'm in the bedroom right now because there's no other room. Yes, I'll trade places with you, Pat.
Live from the Miller bedroom.
That's right.
Miller.
Who knew that was going to be on the Zoom? Hey, Ariel, you were going to coach Jennifer up a minute. What were you going to share?
Well, one, I was going to say, you gave a trigger word there, Jennifer, and you said without capitalizing.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to fear capitalizing. You are capitalizing on opportunity. You're a business owner. You're always capitalizing on opportunities, but there's a way to capitalize on the opportunity in a way that best serves your clients. When you're capitalizing in a way that best serves your clients, you're helping you, you're helping them, and you're helping the economy when you help make money flow. So that is better for everyone. Two, I had a thought of, so a friend of mine who was actually my resident advisor in college, who was always, her room was always like a place of serenity and solitude in the chaos of college. And she posted, she's a teacher, and she said she was really down the dumps with working from home. But then her husband encouraged her to reinvent her space, and she did. And then it became her space. And she's an art teacher, so she got the creativity in there. She redid it at her home, and now she's going to be teaching the kids from online. And she had the lights up, and I was like, oh, it reminds me of her room in college when she had the lights up, and it was a fun place. So I just thought, maybe reach out to Angela, the lighting lady, and think about ways where you guys could be bringing lights into people's homes, bringing more light into their rooms, their workspaces in the darkness of the Wisconsin winter sometimes.
Yes,
it might be an opportunity to light up their space.
Fabulous. Thank you.
All right, Jennifer, we're all here for you. If you need something, reach out to us. Let's go to Josh Quinn from C2 because he's got an idea about musicians. So in addition to being the guy that runs C2 or co-guy that runs the C2, you're also a musician. What's going on with your business right now as far as being a musician?
Yeah, so I have two secret lives and one regular life. So my regular life is I'm the business development person, which is a terrible time to be in business development for C2, which is
Ariel's going to jump back in. Don't say that.
I don't want
She's
Ariel
to jump back in.
I put a Post-it over her window so I don't get intimidated by it. So in my first secret life, I'm a manager at the Budweiser Pavilion at State Fair Park, which of course we don't know what's going to happen this summer, but it's not looking great, right? So my second secret life is that I'm the lead singer for a local cover band called the Cheap Shots, cheap plug there. And we have 20 festivals between May and September. And so we have just seen our first 2 go away. We anticipate losing more. So we've sort of been talking, not much with the band, but I've been talking with friends of mine in other markets who are musicians. So just wondering what people would want to hear or see from musicians that you can't go out to see at a club or at a bar or at a festival. Like what kinds of things can we do to entertain you? And the piggyback off of that is it grotesque to include a donation link or something? Because, you know, we all have full-time jobs, which is great. But obviously our income is supplemented significantly, in our case, which is fortunate, by the festivals we play, the corporate parties we play, the clubs that we play. So I'm just wondering how to go about that nicely and still enjoy my trade, enjoy my craft, give to people, do what I love, make people smile, get people happy, but also see if we can reap, you know, some of that back without being gross and you know, saying, hey, we could use some money or tips.
Well, anyone that likes the band wants to support the band. So you have an audience. Do you have mailing lists too, I'm sure?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you've got an audience already, so we can find ways to connect you with some people that are willing to support you. Michael Rampola made a great comment in the chat, but I want to make sure it gets on the recording. So, Michael, what were you saying for Josh?
Oh gosh, I had 3 or 4 of them. One of them was for my kids, bookstores and libraries are doing virtual story time. You could do a virtual session. I'd say, and throw a virtual tip jar on there. Like if you were doing that, you'd have that, your open guitar case, right? Same idea. Also an idea I think about when I've gone to a dueling piano show, and like you get the competition song, and like this tip jar versus that tip jar, who plays, who gets to play. There's ways to have fun with this and lean into the fact that it's virtual. If you don't do a virtual donation, everybody's going to be asking you, how do I tip you right now? So you might as well just get it set up ahead of time so that you are opening the channel to people who want to support you.
That's brilliant. If you've got something else you want to jump in and add for Josh, raise your hand or unmute your mic. So many comments came into the Zoom chat. Have you seen any of the virtual festivals that are popping up, Josh? There's one, what was it, the Introvert Music Festival? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I know that one of my friends has already created his own little series, but there's always issues of you don't want to get together necessarily, obviously. But when you do it virtually, there's a little bit of a lag, so that makes it difficult. But I'm not sure if that's something that people will legitimately sit down on a Saturday night at, not necessarily like, 9 o'clock, but festival time, 7, 8, 9, something like that, with a drink and log on and watch. I don't know. I just don't know if that's something. Can we just do like show of hands if that's interesting to people?
Sure.
Wow. Holy cow. Really?
What if you did a donation request show? Like
all request.
Yes, but they have to make a donation, and then the biggest donation gets their song played next or something like that.
It's like a virtual jukebox almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that is, gratuitous?
Everyone's asking for donations right now. And you know what? If people support you and love you, they're going to donate because they support and love you.
Lori, do you want to
you're talking to your fans anyway.
I love you, Josh.
Love you.
Yeah.
I think being humble about it, but I know someone who's doing it on Facebook right now, who's doing it live. And he brings it up, and he said other people have, offered, and he said, if you can't do it, don't do it, but I would gladly take them if you're willing to. And just be humble about it.
One way that I've seen it done too for software development sites, you've seen this pages that say, buy the coders a coffee. Maybe it's buy the band a beer. And then that way it's not as overt, but hey, we can't play right now, we need beer money. And that way it's like kind of cutesy and kind of fun rather than just, hey, give us money because of the mortgage.
I know it's called the cheap shots, but I'm not cheap. I'm a whiskey guy, okay?
Oh, okay. Hey, Jack Daniel's money or fancy whiskey, whatever it might be. Stacy, you said that you had an idea. What did you want to share?
I do. So my other business is in the senior living community or industry. So I'm thinking of all of the senior living communities, all of the memory cares that are so used to bringing in live music. It's part of their daily engagement for their residents. And partnering with them and seeing if you can just live stream and put on concerts for their residents. I guarantee they would pay for it, and I guarantee they would embrace it in an instant.
That's really interesting. In my secret life that I really want to do, in my dream life, and this is going to crack some people up, I would love to be in a Tom Jones cover band because I love Tom Jones. But I also love Sinatra to the 60s. And my fiance's parents were joking that you should move down to South Padre Island where all the winter snowbirds go, or whatever they call them when they come down from the Midwest, and sing down there because that's all they do is they sing oldies and stuff and people go crazy. So.
All right. I got 2 thoughts.
That's interesting.
What if you took her idea and created a program for the senior centers called Sinatra Distancing? And you're going to do Sinatra cover concerts for the old folks' homes. And you could put it up. It could only be like $50 an old folks' home. But it could be like if you get 100 of them, boom, that's more than a show in general.
That's such a funny idea. So then you would reach out to senior centers individually?
Yeah, I would
Absolutely.
start with any of them that have memory cares.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. those are, I mean, I volunteer to
That's
provide music for them, so I know that it's something they always want. They're always looking for. It's on the calendar multiple days a week, and I'm sure they're having issues with behaviors without having this entertainment happening.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's what an amazing idea. Can I connect with you on LinkedIn or something, Stacy, separately?
Yeah, you betcha. Absolutely.
Okay. That's awesome.
Stacy, drop your contact information in the chat, and Josh, if you would too as well, that would be great. One other thought, Josh, being a creative guy and a musician, you could also spin up real quick a jingle business for companies and offering the opportunity to create jingles for small businesses or jingles for companies that don't have one, because you know how easy it is to write a little hook and write a little jingle. But it might be a way that using your talents, because right now the genius of pivoting, right? What do you do for a living? And how can you deploy it differently? You don't need to have the whole band with you to make a jingle. And maybe that's a different way that you could marry your secret life of being a creative person with your secret life of being a marketing guy and a
Not
musician.
so secret life. And for a long time, people have been telling me, like, you should really get into, because I sing the national anthem for like the Bucks and the Brewers and stuff. So, and I sang it for USA Gymnastics. So I have a rock voice, and then I have an actual song voice. And people have been saying you should really sing for commercials and be a studio sort of singer. I have no idea how to even get into that. So if anybody has ideas, please shoot them my way. I would love to be able to try to make something happen.
Well, here's how you can get into it. Just start doing it, right? Just start asking people that don't have a jingle, man, you need a jingle, and see if you can sell it to them. You sell one or two, and then you could be off to the races. Josh's jingles could be a way that you pay the mortgage next month. I mean, who knows? But
so I think they actually have gigs for that on Fiverr. So I mean, if you
that's true.
If you wanted to start there, it might be a different way to get. I don't know. Also, let's be real. A lot of the people using tools like that, they're coming from all over the world. So what may happen is you might find somebody that needs an American male voice to do some other voiceover work or other things. So perhaps maybe even just go check out Fiverr for how they put their gigs together as a way to start your proposal.
Yeah, and another shout out to Stacy, who's just on fire today. Drive around to a business on Facebook Live, create a jingle for them, sing it pro bono, and just start that way. Tag them in the business. That's great, and that's gold. Okay, I'm having too much fun to stop now. Is there someone else that could use some help? Because we want to make sure that we, while we're all warmed up and the White Claws are starting to take effect, that we can have some fun.
Well, hold on, yeah, White Claws. You said White Claws and Zell stopped. He was leaving.
So, there's Zell, the White Claw master.
So, hey, hold on real quick. Zell's going to come over this way. So that guy, I didn't catch his name, cover band, Zell ran a record label for 5 years and also put on a music festival. How many? 110 bands over 3 days? 200 bands. And Zell has nothing to do this weekend. So, but buddy, what he said, he said Facebook Live or?
I said wherever you have more fans, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, I would, put up a post about doing an Instagram Live and then just take covers for an hour or something like that. Just take requests. I know bands that I work with that have originals, they're just going live tomorrow. Label that I don't work with is performing, basically having all the bands on their roster from 12 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's doing a mini festival where they're actually having all the bands take over the label's Instagram Live, and it's all these bands that were supposed to be playing together at a show. So now they're going to do their sets in a closed environment and be Instagram living that for the entire day. But if you have more fans on Facebook, then engage with people there. If you have them on Instagram, then go there.
And to the point he made about who's going to sit around and look at other people on screens and be entertained, we literally just did that for the last hour and the last 3 days. And we're debating whether we're going to do this again over the weekend. So if you don't think that people want interaction, get Ariel on here and she'll yell at you until you just stop having negative thought patterns.
I actually long for Ariel to yell at me now. It's
yes. Yeah, that's
yes.
It's probably hourly for that service.
That's right. That's right. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you guys hopping in, and all the power to Zell, the guy that really gets the stuff done in Andy's organization. It's good to see you. All right, so this has been a blast, an absolute blast today. If anyone has anything else that they want to add, please jump into the chat. We can give you the floor before we sign off. I do want to make sure that you're texting BIZ to 414-240-1315, because we will go live again on Monday at 3 o'clock. And before we sign off, it looks like Bob wants to say something. Bob, hello. I'm not sure if we've met yet. Can you tell us what you do and how we can help you?
Hey there. So my name is Bob. I know I'm a new face here. I actually work with Michael. I'm
great.
the new salesperson at Spirity.
Awesome.
And this is my 6th day on the job. Last week, Thursday and Friday, it seemed like business was as normal. We were doing normal onboarding stuff, and now everything has completely switched. And I'm wondering if anyone has any advice for becoming a new salesperson in this environment.
Oh, wow. That's just some chum. I think people are going to jump in on that in a second. So what does a good job look like? Are you bringing prospects in? Are you closing people completely? Are you just identifying people to call on? What are you trying to accomplish right now?
So lead generation and closing on deals. Those are the 2 big ones.
Lead gen and closing on deals. Well, first of all, thanks for introducing yourself. It's really nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. Sarah
thanks for having me.
quickly raised her hands as the sales goddess of the group. So Sarah, tell Bob how you can help him. Sarah, I think you got to unmute. Are you there, dear?
I muted myself just out of caution. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you,
Can you hear
Princess
me?
Leia.
All right,
Help
awesome.
us.
I double muted myself just in case there was a child. Well, congrats on the new job, first off. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. It's so exciting to start a new job, and while it might not feel like a celebration right now, it really is. So you made this decision for certain reasons, right? There's certain reasons why you made this decision. So you got to keep your why in front of you. You got to keep it in front of you, because even in a great environment, you still got to keep that why in front of you. If you shoot your email in here, I got a really awesome little thing I can send you. I send to all my new teammates. I have someone who's 2 months into the job right now, so they're still kind of new on my sales team as well. So lead gen, prospecting. I'm kind of going back to Ariel's part. Oh, I don't want to sell to people. I don't want to come off as a jerk. I mean, that's kind of, I don't know if that's kind of in your head right now. That kind of going on where like, I don't know if I want to sell. Is prospecting a thing I can do? Okay. So you got to get that out of your head. I had a hard time with this earlier this week too, because I work in sales and I work 100% on commission, and I know I have to feed my family, and I know I had to keep pushing my pipeline. So work on that piece. I'm not a coach in the mindset realm, so we've got lots of great people there. We've got lots of great mentors here. But secondly, speak from kindness, speak from compassion. Just really, really think about your why. Think about why you took this job. What is it about this company or this position that really gives you juice, and run with it. And run with it. People are also getting inundated with emails, so utilize your social media tools. There's LinkedIn experts on here. I won't even pretend to be a LinkedIn expert, but I have generated more sales in the last 5 days in my pipeline that I probably have in the last 3 months by utilizing these tools. Speak from kindness, compassion, hear people out. You're going to work with business owners, business people in leadership. They're going to want to talk to someone. I have talked to more people this week just to hear them out, just to listen to them. I had some amazing connections this week. You are going to strengthen relationships really, really, really quickly. So come up with a plan, keep your why in front of you, use your social media, and get out of your own head. The best pieces of advice is, but I'm only one voice in a room full of very talented people. So I'll turn the mic back to somebody else.
Great point, Sarah. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to ask Sue, the LinkedIn lady, to jump on here in a minute, but I don't want to lose the thought that Lori Hybe was sharing. So Lori, you dropped into the chat some cool ideas. Can you share those with us in the recording?
Sure. I mean, I think that you're in a really interesting spot right now, and that if you called on all the current customers, just to one, introduce yourself, and two, just say, hey, I'm new, and I think they're going to be very compassionate and understanding of that, and just ask how they're doing. And then also offer, is anyone else in a similar position that might need the same kind of support that we're currently offering you?
Cool. Sure. Thank you for sharing that. So Sue, the LinkedIn lady, give us some traction ideas for our friend here so we can help him get off on the right foot.
Hi, Bob. First of all, welcome. Spirity is an amazing organization, and you're working with a pretty cool guy over there. Mike, I think, right? We're talking about, right? So here's what I guess my best advice for everybody right now is LinkedIn is really the place where you need to be hanging out a lot for all of us. And it's not the stuff about posting all of your content. Yes, posting content's important, but you probably have a whole wealth of connections that you have developed. I'm not sure. I'm assuming, Bob, I'm not sure how long you've been at this, but I know I personally have people that I've been connected to on LinkedIn for like 10 years. I have gone back and I have started and I've made a list and I did it backwards of who I've been connected to the longest. You can do a sort in your network that way. And while it gets kind of tedious, I have reached out to about 50 people in the last 3 or 4 days, just sending them a little personal note within LinkedIn. And I am amazed at how much people are responding. And I have 4 chats next week with people that I haven't talked to forever, just by saying, hi, how are you doing? I'm thinking about you. Is there anything I can do? Not, can I sell you? You know, yes, hopefully I can sell them my stuff, but I don't really care about that. I just want to help set them up somehow for success. So everything that you've heard from Lori and from Sarah is exactly the right way to go, but just start using that one-on-one stuff in LinkedIn, the email part. That's going to really get you the farthest traction for right now, in my opinion.
Jennifer Buchholz, you had some comments you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'll take a second. So I know and love Spirity, and welcome to the party here.
Thank you.
That said, I know that you're selling to corporate. So hit them, not hit them, meet them where they're at. So with all the scramble, because I sell to corporate, right? So I'm feeling this total disconnect. I'm feeling leadership who are saying, so now all of our employees are remote and they're all dealing with all these other things that can be really distracting. And we still have stuff to get done, but we have to work so much differently than what we ever done before. The app that you guys have is the tool. You guys have the solution to get everybody focused and rowing in the same direction when they are off site. You guys have this master thing that you've just launched, and people are going to get it when you present it in a way of, you got your macros, you got your micros, you guys are reevaluating what's important right now. Let this tool be your guide. And honestly, I think everything that you have right now is positioned to set you up for success if you just meet them where they're at. Sure. And I'm happy to talk offline. Just again, I'm touching people right now where their teams have just gotten scattered and decimated and regrouping, and they've taken the first few days to feel it. They're going to be back into a routine starting Monday, and management are just, they don't know how to help. So there we are.
You know, it's interesting, that point there that I'm going to expand on real quick is that it's hard enough to get an entire corporate team rowing in the same direction, as you said. Now everyone's dispersed to their actual homes. So if I were you, it would be, oh, well, what if we could make sure that everyone was on the same page with our new app, right? So everyone has the North Star to look at when it comes to what they should do today, plus that central communication point where the managers can make sure that people are tracking their metrics and their activity. That's great. Well, we hope that you come back. It's nice to have you in the group. And there are people that are incredible sellers in this organization. So, and I think amongst the people on this call, we know maybe a lot of people that could help you too. So hopefully you can come back and contribute. So thank you everybody for jumping in. And I'll echo what they said earlier. You get to sell Michael Rampolla for a living. So
yeah, exactly.
Can we live in your beach house? So that's what we want to know, which is great.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, it's our pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Okay, so is there anyone else that wants to chat or converse at this point before we sail off to a finely aged weekend? That would be great. Thank you so much for jumping in on the Small Business Rally Point. This was an idea that I had Tuesday night. Abby will echo this. It was Tuesday night. I had gone to bed. I came out Tuesday night. Abby, I have to do this. And she's like, yes, dear. Like, if you know Abby at all, and you know me a little bit, this happens a lot. Like, oh my God, Abby, like I got this idea. And I called Jennifer Buchholz the next morning. I'm like, we have to do this thing. This is going to happen. And thanks to her, she's been so integral in helping me spin this up. Thank you to Carol White from the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to Erik Bilstad and the team at 620 WTMJ for being a part of the broadcast, coming out and sharing their thoughts. Of course, Ariel Kopac, who's now currently judging us all and making sure that we're saying the right things, which is fantastic. But you're brilliant, and we really appreciate you coming on as well. So with that, it's time to sail off into the sunset. Get your rest. Do what you need to do to reset, because I have a very, very strong feeling by Monday, a lot of our customers are going to be ready to rumble. I think things are going to be different come Monday. I think things are already different from Wednesday. So do what you have to do to reset yourself and be ready to get after it, because the theme of these calls remains: be aggressive, be close to your customers, and get out there and sell something. With that, we're done for this Friday. We'll talk to you on Monday at 3 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach from Small Step Solutions. Have a great weekend.